welcome into a advancement to the next round. Game 7 post-game edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 1053 The Fan, ready to crack a Frosty. My co-host, Sean Shapiro, he's got his Frosty. Shall we do it together, my man?
Let's do it. Oh, there we go.
Woo! Man,
that would have looked really good on the video. Like if we actually did these beyond just audio, that would have looked really good.
That was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this line has got chemistry right here.
Yes,
man.
We're rolling right now.
Cracking coldies, having a good time. Oh man, first and foremost, what a barn tonight. Congrats, Stars fans. You guys rocked it. That's always awesome. Can't stick tap you guys enough, especially the last 9 minutes. Saw a ton of people on their feet, Sean, and that's what it's all about.
What a when Pete DeBoer said after game 6, this is what you play for, right? Like we're exactly where we want to be, where we're supposed to be, we're a higher seed, we get game 7 at home. That's what you're talking about. That is kind of the build up, the crowd, getting that chance on home ice. So yes, that's a great way to start this off. Kudos to the Stars fans because you showed up tonight and it was a good show. It was a good showing in that building.
And Pete DeBoer goes into the NHL record books now tied with Daryl Sutter. Is it Daryl or which Sutter? Daryl Sutter for most game 7 wins in NHL history. So
to be fair, I do think going 8-0 in game 7 wins is a little bit more impressive. I mean, Daryl Sutter was 8-3 in game 7. So that's still a hugely impressive mark, but 8-0 is undefeated in do or die situations. And that's pretty impressive. It was also, I don't know where he stands in all-time player ones, but Joe Pavelski is now 8-3 all-time in game 7s as well. So I haven't had the time to look that up, but I'm sure someone will look that up for me at some point. So
yeah. I let's start with that because he's been heavily criticized, but I actually didn't get a goal, but I thought Joe Pavelski played well tonight.
I mean, he was active. To me, he had the assist on Wyatt Johnston's first goal. I know there was no technical assist because you have to touch the puck to have an assist. But one of the things about the goal in the first period for Wyatt Johnston, it essentially happens because Joe Pavelski does his work on the forecheck. It's a play that Vegas should have an easy out. Pavelski comes in, takes away the play off the boards, and that kind of sets the tone. That sets the landing space or whatever you want to call it properly for Johnston to force the actual turnover and then score a quote unquote unassisted goal. So, to me, that's the type. There's so many little details that went into winning this game or potentially losing this game, like on Vegas's end, and Joe Pavelski will not get an assist on the Wyatt Johnston goal, but he deserves one for the play. And it's Stars move on by the slimmest of margins, and to me, just to look at how they approached this series, right? You knew this was going to be a battle. You knew Vegas was never going to be an easy out. And now they've dethroned the champs in round 1. And you get an opportunity to really roll this into something potentially special. So it's a good feeling for Dallas tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned, Sean, that game 7s, but just the playoffs in particular is a game of inches and a bouncing puck. And, prior to that Wyatt Johnston goal, Eichel was being Eichel and some terrific plays in the Dallas zone. And the puck goes out to Marchessault, and he basically had an empty net look, and he hits the post.
Yeah.
You could actually see Eichel on that play, almost like putting his head back, like, oh. And then when it goes to the other end, Wyatt Johnston. I mean, I guess this segment could be called at this point the Wyatt Johnston segment because every single podcast we talk about the positives of Wyatt Johnston. Man, so we should create our own segment.
He was so good. If I highly suggest and people go, if you haven't already, go subscribe over to my site, Shap Shots.
Yep.
One of the things I did during the first intermission after he had scored was I went and pulled about 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes of just Wyatt Johnston scoring chances from the series to put into the post game piece. So if you're feeling if you're reading tonight and you want to spend an additional 5 minutes just watching every single chance Wyatt Johnston was in on during 7 games, I did that for you. So go do it. And
Nice.
I did Gavin, as a quick update, because I pulled this up while we were chatting. Pavelski is now tied for the most Game 7 wins all time as a player. He is he is now the seventh player with seven career Game 7 victories, tying Brad Richards, Ray Bourque, Justin Williams, Carl Hagelin, Ryan McDonough, and Glenn Anderson.
Wow.
So, congratulations, Mr. Pavelski, on being tied for most Game 7 wins as a player. So
Yeah, that's great. And Jamie Benn had a terrific opportunity for a goal, just a clean look on Aiden Hill. But when we were mentioning Wyatt Johnston, it won't be like talked about because it didn't end up being a goal, and it wasn't even talked about on the broadcast. But Wyatt Johnston with an aerial pass that goes right on the tape, Sean. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. He's up against the boards, and just A, to look up and throw that pass, but B, in a Game 7 to have that confidence to a cross ice pass like that. Just wow.
I mean, similar to Game 1, which was the one where Ben got loose for the breakaway goal. Was that Game 1 or 2?
That was Game 1.
Yeah, Game 1, similar to
so long ago.
Not the same lob on it, but similar kind of space, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Goaltending wise, goaltending was great all series from both Vegas and Dallas. Jake Oettinger ends up giving up 14 goals in this series, 7-game series. So you know what that means. Yeah. So another terrific effort for the youngster tonight. I mean, he was just, great. I love it toward the end, avoiding the screens and just the confidence, and, that Jake Oettinger demeanor is like so addictive to watch. He's just so calm, but there's a confidence there.
He was, first game of the series, he goes and has I want to make sure I get this exactly right, because I try to be accurate in my life on things. So first game of the series, he had a .733 save percentage. After Game 1, Oettinger's worst game of the series was a .920 save percentage. 920, 941, 941, 926, 966. And then tonight, to close it out, it was a .957 save percentage. So Jake Oettinger wants to be. I wrote a story about Jake Oettinger actually for a big feature on him before the start of the year. And he talked about to me how he's very blunt and honest about his goal is to be one of the best goalies in the world. Jake Oettinger this season, the regular season, he was not one of the best goalies in the world. Game 1 of the playoffs, he was not one of the best goalies in the world. But over the last 6 games of this series, he played like a number 1 goaltender in the world.
Yeah.
And that is, you go into the next round with Colorado, and we should have, I have no idea how we'll fit it in because the Game 1's going to be Tuesday, Gavin, but at some
whenever
point,
you want, buddy, whenever you want,
we'll have to preview it. And I want to get into that. And I want to get into that. I want that to be a different episode because I want to put the Vegas series to bed before we talk Colorado. Deal. But I will say, just as a quick spark notes, Jake Oettinger versus Alexander Georgiev in round 2 is a huge advantage for Dallas. So we'll talk more about that when we preview Colorado. But Jake Oettinger, give him all of his flowers for what he did this series, and he was phenomenal.
Yep. So. Hey, listen, I love Spits and Suds listeners because as soon as Foxa scored, I've got some tweets. One tweet in particular said, Gavin, you love playoff Foxa, don't you? And I love myself some playoff Foxa. And admittedly, last year I was really tough on Radek Foxa, and maybe at the beginning of this year, although I was telling Craig, I've tried to say on this podcast, it's never been about Foxa. I just don't like the cap number. But that said, he has had a really solid year. He's been good on the dot. I think he's just been playing. He's very reliable. And tonight he came up big. What I loved about that goal, not to get too simplistic, just a simple backhand on net, deflection, pinball, and that's game 7 and that's playoffs. And one of my things tonight, I was like, put the puck on the net. They were trying to go so high on Adin Hill and there were chances. And I know you got to pick the corners and everything, but man, I thought Adin Hill was giving up some rebounds tonight. I thought he was good, but he was giving up some rebounds.
Yeah. The cycle leading up to that goal was big.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like that's the thing where we've talked a lot about Dallas isn't a cycle team. This isn't that, whatever. And Foxa, he was injured in game 2, missed the last 4, took warmups before game 6. And I've talked to some people who Foxa could have played in game 6. The reality was the Stars, he was this close. Like if the Stars' hope was that they would win game 6 and then Foxa would be able to come back for game 1 and you have a little bit more time to heal, but he had to come in for game 7. And to me, one of the Radek Foxa stories, we've talked a lot about the contract, right? That's fair. It's a lot of contract. Okay, well, now we're in the playoffs. There's no contracts. Everyone's making the same amount of money. The other thing about Radek Foxa that he's struggled with the past couple of years is he's a guy who used to thrive off the role and the importance of playing 14 to 16, sometimes even 18 to 20 minutes a night, getting top matchups, getting against the other team's top players. He was other coaches' favorite guy. Pete DeBoer came in, and Pete DeBoer doesn't line match. Pete DeBoer rolls lines, and Radek Foxa became a 8, 10, 12 minute a night player. And that's not an easy adjustment when the first 7 years of your career have been built on spending this much time. And he struggled with that adjustment. I still think there's times he struggles with it, but the way when he comes back into the lineup tonight, everyone expects the little things. It's hey, he's going to win a key face-off. He's going to help on the penalty kill. He's going to block a shot. He's going to tie a guy up. And he did all those things. But it's the game 7 goals. It's the moment there where it doesn't like that to me is like the perfect game 7 story where it's the guy who comes in who is not supposed to be scoring goals that does it. And This is why playoff hockey is great. This is why these series are awesome because it tests your depth. It tells you everything about your team. It pushes and prods in so many different ways. And if you told Vegas that they were going to go home because of a Radek Foxa backhand in the third period, they would not believe you. And that's one of the great things about playoff hockey.
Yeah. You said it. That was very, very well said.
When you're worried about underarm sweat and odor, it can be distracting. Like this. Or this. Or even this. It's time to silence those distractions with a spray of powerful Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. Featuring our 72-hour protection and soothing 1/4 moisturizing cream. Because when you forget about your underarms, you can focus on being unforgettable. Dove Men. Forgettable underarms, unforgettable you.
Bosch tools are built for workers. Bosch's powerful hammer drill has kickback control to help work go more smoothly when you need it. The 2-in-1 impact driver and wrench quickly changes between bits and sockets, so you only need one tool instead of 2. And the X-Lock grinder switches wheels up to 5 times faster than standard grinders when you need to change tasks in a hurry. Bosch tools take care of the job and you. Bosch tools, what hard workers deserve. Learn more at BoschTools.com.
Hey moms, join us at Heyday Skincare in River Oaks or Bel Air this May to relax, rejuvenate, and make your skin radiant. Treat yourself to our personalized facials and enjoy a complimentary LED or gua sha on us. Plus, lock in our exclusive founding membership rate of just $89 and snag a swag bag packed with goodies when you sign up. At Heyday, we are all about making skincare a celebration. A personalized monthly facial just for you is exactly what your skin needs and what your brain deserves. Book today at heydayskincare.com.
Jason Robertson, I thought, played well. Very physical, which I think we're seeing more and more of that in his game. Love the hustle. Love the third period by the Stars. First period scared me because that was to get out of that first period 1-0. I was very excited, and they were a second period team, so I was excited to see what they did. This series was so close, Sean. It was. It was real tight. A missed net here and there, all the difference. The goaltending was terrific. You saw some defensive lapses, but you also saw some terrific defense from both squads. Different players were shut down while others thrived. Just a lot of fun. I can't believe this has just been round one. Seriously, if you put this as like the Western Conference Finals, I think people are like, wow, that was a great finals.
Well, it's the first contender to go out, right? Like every other team that's been knocked out, you can be like, oh, that was a good team. This is the first time you're like, okay, one of the big dogs is gone. This is the first one. And it's funny because round two started before round one. Round two started before round one officially ended today, since the Rangers and Hurricanes played that earlier game. But like, this is a game that this was a series where the hockey was just better than so many other rounds. Like, so many other series. Like, I watched so many, like, from a consistent basis, no other series was this good from start to finish as Dallas Vegas was. And from a Dallas perspective, you can, if you want to be an optimist, and I'd like to think that this is the way I would think about this, you took out the defending champ. You took out one of the biggest challenges you're going to have to face in this ultimate goal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now use it to positively. Use that momentum and roll into the next one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part, tonight you can go up and down the roster and say, wow, and you can think of little plays because they might not have scored, but Dadonov with a nice block, Duchesne with a block, Sam Steele all over the ice hustling, really giving Vegas some tough times on that penalty kill, which shouldn't have been a penalty. But, only 2 penalties called on the night. So they were letting the boys play.
Yeah, it's one of those where I don't want to pile on the kid, but it's just has to be said. I
didn't want to say it, buddy.
Yeah, but the only reason Jake Oettinger doesn't have a shutout in this game, and the only reason Radek Faksa had to have the game-winning goal is because Nils Lundkvist basically justified all of his usage from this series. And just now I know he's in a tough spot. It's hard to succeed. Like, can you imagine going from sitting when you're only playing but he had been, we talked about it earlier. Like, there was times where he was doing fine in those shifts and those 4 or 5 shifts. But when you're only making cameos, your cameo can't be with your guy. You losing your guy that badly. And Nils Lundkvist could have cost the Stars their season tonight. Like we talked about, like, oh, what's the worst that can happen if he plays 4 minutes? Like, he almost cost the Stars their season. And I don't want to pile on the kid. It's just a reality of it's hard to defend, and that's just a base defending level thing. That's a bad read, and you can't let that happen. And it's a tough break to pin on the guy who's been like that. But with all the Stars defensemen who play normally, they played well enough to win this. They played well enough to win this game 2-0. So
well, let's just talk about it briefly because I know we're not in the Colorado preview. But at this point, if I'm this organization, I just got to say, like, all right, we're going to play Pouliot. We're going to call someone up. I don't know. I'm just, there has to be, I personally don't feel as though you can continue doing this.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think you can have a spot where you can have a sixth defenseman that plays 7 or 8 minutes,
Yeah.
but that's Derek Pouliot. It's you decide, hey, Texas, you go and you ask Jim Nill, hey, like, here's a funny thing, Gavin, right? Texas played 7 defensemen. And this is how nerdy I am because I'm watching AHL playoff hockey intersected as all we're going through this. But Texas went 11-7 in game 1 and 2 against Milwaukee. And in both of those games, all 7 defensemen played at least 14 minutes. And they're using 7 defensemen. Like, that's the,
Wow.
like, and like, it's, if you're Jim Nill and Scott White and Pete DeBoer, I think there's a chat you have to be having tonight about how are we going, who's going to be on the ice. So in the 2.5 minutes Nils Lundkvist plays, I mean, if you're Colorado, right? Especially when the games go to Colorado.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon already plays 29 minutes a night. Like, all of a sudden you're going to have Nathan McKinnon. The second Nils Lundkvist is on the ice, there's going to be just like McKinnon's just going to hop over he's not even going to be told by Jared Bednar. He's just going to hop. Like, it's you have to go with someone else.
And I think so, especially against Colorado.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into a bunch of questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So Micah says there's no way Nils plays again, right? Z-Wasuko, go Stars. That is all. Meyer Patel. That's Meyer Patel, MD. Excuse me. That is the fine doctor that listens. One guy that hasn't been mentioned is Petrovic down in Texas. He's a veteran like Hanley, and you can trust with the number of games at the NHL level more than Nils. I wonder if there's any consideration to bring him up if they're not going to play Pouliot. So as Sean mentioned, I'm sure there'll be meetings tonight.
Let me hold on. Let me just to give people a bit of an idea from something real quick. So in Texas's game, and Texas beat Milwaukee 4-1 on yesterday. They used 7 defensemen. So Petrovic played 25 minutes.
Wow.
To give you an idea of how Texas defensemen were used in game 2 against Milwaukee. Alexander Petrovic played 25 minutes, 131 of that shorthanded. Michael Caro played 21:39. Luke Chris played 20:58. Liam Bixel played 20:38. Gavin Bayreuther played 19:02. And then Christian Kyrou was effectively the 7 and really, really only out there for power play stuff, played 10:05. So Petrovic, like, if you're going to have the discussion, Petrovic's going to be in it. Petrovic's going to be it. And even, believe it or not, people are going to love that I say this. Even, believe it or not, Liam Bixel at least has to be in the conversation.
Sure.
He played 20:38. He's played more playoff games than anyone else in the organization. He's played 2 for Texas and 16 for Rogala in the SHL. So those guys will certainly be in the conversation.
Yeah, no, love it. Thank you for that time on ice information. Will McKay, major stick taps to steal. That was one heck of a third period. Yeah, I love this hustle. Courtly 8. Cheers, boys. Let's go. So do we think Nils sees the ice in round 2? It's so funny that so many people, but you know what? Hey, that's the education of Stars fans. They're wondering. Absolutely. Let's see. Val asks, how close is Hakanpää to returning, Sean?
So I never believed Pete DeBoer's assertion that Hakanpää was close for the first round, because when I think Jim Nill told me about 4 or 5 days before the end of the regular season, it's like, oh, well, Dodonov definitely probably will play game 82, and Hakanpää is not really close. And I don't know exactly. I'm not at practice. I don't know for sure, but it's to give you an idea. Foxa comes back tonight, right? We saw Foxa take warm-ups before game 6. we're not seeing any public
Yeah.
progress like that with Hakanpää. So I'm not counting on Hakanpää until I see him able to take warm-ups even. So that's
Right.
so.
Yeah. Clint Dickinson asked, will Nils Lundkvist ever see the ice for the Dallas Stars again? We won 2-1, but you guys are all right.
Yeah.
We just answered that, Clint, but stick tap to you. You've been a long-time listener and always appreciate you. Prater at CP Raider TTU. Poor Nils. Does he match up better with Colorado? Or let's see. Simon Cave. No question, just an apology for wanting to scratch Joe Pavelski. Apology accepted, Simon. Listen, on the surface, like if you just look at it as a whole series, but you could look at any series. You could look at Jason Robertson last year and question if he should be scratched. You could look at several of the Vegas players. How effective was Mark Stone throughout this series? I mean, he did have 2, tips for goals, but he
wasn't good, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Exactly. And it's so interesting because, you wondered like, okay, who's tired? And I wondered that about the Stars, but in the third period, it did look like Vegas was also tired. I mean, Hurdle with a chance in front of the net and just could not move Esa Lindell. So kudos to Esa Lindell on that. Because we saw what happened in game 1. Let's see. Robbie G, which of you had Foxa with the series winner?
I don't think no one did.
No one should have put it in Vegas. You're right, Robbie. You're right. Let's see. Greg, never in doubt. Pretty easy. Let's see. Zach Mitchell. Good day to be a Stars fan. That was a tough series. Amazing Game 7 hockey. In my biased opinion, the best single game so far in the playoffs. It was a good one. Yeah. There were so many that were good.
Yeah.
Let's see. A couple more questions about Lundkvist. And then let's see. Cameron says, what a game. Pretty sure I lost all my hair, but it was worth it. See, that's why since I've been a Stars season ticket holder for so long, that's why my hair is going. I appreciate that. Now I know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Back-to-back Game 7 wins. What is life? By Bubba Knocker, Martin Crooms. What an atmosphere from the AAC crowd. That was a Game 7. We enjoy this one. Move on to the Avs, but that was about as tight as round 1 gets. Yes. Okay, here's a good question. And they've been, Pete DeBoer once again, a little bit of line juggling tonight. Do we keep Pavs with Ben and Wyatt? What a move by Pete. Didn't even think about that type of move. And also kudos to Foxa. That guy is a grinder and never gets the love. He's the hero tonight with the game-winning goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I feel like all the lines worked well tonight. I thought the Hintz Robertson Stankoven line had a little bit more. I thought there's a little more pop with Stankoven on that line. To me, the bigger question is it's not as much getting Pavelski going. And I think really anyone who plays with Wyatt Johnston is going to get going. Because honestly, that's how good Wyatt Johnston has been. So I don't mind that line. My bigger question right now is, how do you get Rupe Hintz's confidence back? Because that's the bigger thing, right? Like the Stars won this series. Like this is actually remarkable. The Stars beat the defending Stanley Cup champs, and Rupe Hintz's only point was an empty net goal. Only point, not goals. I'm not talking goals. I'm just the only single point in the series for Rupe Hintz, empty net goal. The 2-on-1 with Jason Robertson. A more confident Rupe Hintz roofs that puck over Hill's blocker, or he makes a crisper pass to Robertson. The low to high pass from Stankoven below the goal line to Hintz in the slot, where he sails it wide right. That's a shot that he hits the net on. To me, the long-term success for the Stars, right, as they kind of try to get this thing humming and rolling beyond just beating Vegas and now beating Colorado, is how do you get Rupe Hintz going? And that is the biggest question that you try to kind of circle as a coaching staff, and in addition to noodling who's our sixth defender, it's how do we get Rope Hintz going against Colorado in game one? Because
Right.
you know Colorado is going to be up and humming. So
Yep, absolutely. At MB Tendy, Frosties for everyone. Heck yeah, MB. This team is special. Can't wait to listen to the post-game episode from y'all. Bring on Colorado. Woody, never a doubt. Mare Bear, fellow Frosty from Oregon, and she sent in a picture, Sean, to you and I of her holding a delicious, looks like kind of a lighter lager. It's going to hurt my heart to face Yoel Kiviranta in the next round, but I feel like I didn't see the speed or finesse from Colorado. They'll need to beat this Dallas team. Feeling good about this series. LFG Stars.
Yep.
I agree. Sean, one of the things I love about this podcast, not to get sentimental for a second, but the fact that you guys are like my neighbor sent me a picture. John, I want to give him a shout out. And he sent me a picture of a Frosty and said, congrats. And like the fact that people are sending in pictures with Frosties, man, I love you guys. I effing love you guys. Thank you for playing along. That is so badass. Okay. Let's see. Green Bay of Texas, Foxa with the game-winning goal. Are you ready to give him prop spits? Yeah, I mean, listen, that's on me, man. You're right. You guys are all right. You guys are right. It was always about the cap. I was cap nerd, and you're right. But trust me, I mean, I have, Lud's got on me. He said, it was like, oh, now you're a Foxa fan. Well, guess what, folks? Yes. I think he's played very solid this year.
Yeah.
I just don't know if a fourth liner is worth that kind of cap money, but they're spending the money, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Christopher DeHardy, not going to lie, I was ready to give up on the series after being down 0-2. They came out and fought hard, put Vegas away, and reminded us the regular season matchups don't mean a thing in the playoffs. Hope they get well rested for fast for Colorado. Yeah. Let's see. Fuzzy. Frosties, all the Frosties, bud. Heck yeah, buddy. Looking forward to enjoying a delicious one with you. Let's see. Ooh, Cowboy Jeff sucks. And this is why we get to NHL insider Sean Shapiro. What is the post-game playlist in the locker room? I'm not sure about that, Sean. I don't know who controls it.
I don't know the answer right now, but that's we'll put a pin in that. We'll get the answer for you.
We'll get the answer for you.
So, yeah.
That's these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Another great question from our man Jordan H., Harper hockey fan. Hey Jordan, who do you think is the series MVP? My thinking is Wyatt Johnston and Jake Oettinger is a very close number 2, meaning that was Jordan's suggestions. What do you think, Sean?
I would go. I mean, for me, it's Wyatt Johnston, because I think it's very close. 1-2. Johnston and Oettinger are right up there. But for me, Johnston was the player and the key that instigated and unlocked things against Vegas that no one else was doing. And I think Johnston's impact can't be understated in that way. Oettinger was great. I'm not taking anything away from Jake Oettinger. We talked earlier about how, but to me, I think Johnston gave this team a chance to win every single shift he was on the ice, and I think a lot of things built off of that. And one of the key questions about the Stars was, how would you unlock the Vegas defensive zone coverage? How would you do this? How would you do that? And I feel like Johnston kind of acted a lot like that skeleton key for everyone else, and everyone else kind of followed along with him. So that's why I'm going with Johnston. If you named Oettinger, if you're naming a 3 stars for the series and you went Oettinger 1, Johnston 2, it wouldn't bother me. But to me, it's a slight Johnston 1, Oettinger 2.
I agree. Well said, sir. Corn Dog and Jerry, Sam Steele was a wild beast tonight. So good. Go Stars. Yeah, I mean, he's just won't show up on the stat sheet, so to speak. But yeah, Sean, you pointed out on that cycle, him and Foxa, that was a terrific give and go. And then Sam Steele crashed the net, and that might have caused the goal to go in.
Yep.
Let's see. AJ Martin, AJ the Wonder Dog, and By the way, thank you, AJ. AJ is a firefighter, and we always appreciate the people that put their lives on the line for us. Let's see. Another one he says, who had Fox on the game-winning goal, Gavin, on their bingo card? Not me. Okay, I'm going to become a Radek Fox fan for everyone. Okay, Sean, I got to give credit to Adam Deacon, who asked the question. He says, got no words, Gavin, exhausted. He's exhausted from the game, Sean, but he also lives in England. And he's a big Spits and Suds listener. And we talked back and forth, and he watched the game tonight. In all seriousness, that's a statement win. But what happens to Nils? No way back, in my opinion. Can he be sent to Cedar Park? He cannot.
It's like 4 a.m. over there.
I know.
Like
I know.
That's great. Like
yeah. It was really funny because my text to him, Sean, when we first started talking, I'm like, thanks so much for listening to Spits and Suds. And by the way, go Bolton Wanderers. And he goes, absolutely not. Like he would not give me credit for my football team, which, by the way, they won the first leg of their semifinal. I'm just saying. Let's see. Zach Bradford, amazing game. What does Dallas do with lines for round 2? I mean, Sean and I will get into that. Let's see. The next tweet comes from our producer, Gregory Finley. He says, Gavin, this is your producer. I will not stand for any Jake Oettinger slander the rest of the playoffs. This guy's incredible. Bring on the Avs. Oh, that made my night.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Why Joe number 53 is elite. I mean, that's a great Twitter handle, giving props to Wyatt Johnston. Can't wait to listen. Thank you so much. Let's see. Carrie Letton's Wrecking Ball says, crack open that Frosty, Gavin. I will. Sean will. We all should. Let's see. Aaron Thacker, what a game for the Stars and Coach DeBoer. So happy for the win. What do you think, Sean? I mean, DeBoer Cassidy, kind of an interesting matchup as far as, coaches with a lot of experience. How do you think the coach fared?
Yeah, I mean, I thought DeBoer did a really nice job coaching this series. To give both coaches made, not rash, but both coaches made big decisions, right? Like, yeah, I mean, Cassidy made a little bit some of the more dramatic ones with the goalie change from Logan Thompson to Aiden Hill, which you had them effectively scratching a trade deadline acquisition for the rest of the series in Anthony Mantha. And then the DeBoer, I think, did a good job kind of sticking with what worked, but also making kind of the slight tweaks. Like I thought, trying to get the lines going, getting Pavelski going a little bit with Johnston tonight was a good touch. I mean, DeBoer's a good coach. And one of the things that, if you want to, we talk about the Lundkvist thing a lot, but that's just the one thing you have to kind of figure out where it's, and maybe he's onto something. And that's the other thing. I want to just kind of like, we've talked about like, hey, this can't work. This isn't going to work over the long run. You can't do this. But at the same time, Miro Heiskanen and Thomas Harley, they were great tonight. Incredibly good. They were both really good tonight. And so I give DeBoer credit where credit is due here. He coached a really good series. It's going to be another great coaching matchup of the next round. Jared Bednar's a hell of a coach in Colorado. It's going to be so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And don't get frustrated with Nathan McKinnon if you see like a defensive breakdown against him. He's just that good. So, I mean, I'm just saying that early. Interesting, Sean. I looked it up. Both Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson are unrestricted free agents after next year. After,
not this summer, the following summer, right?
2020. Yeah, after the 24-25 season. That's correct. Aiden Hill currently makes 4.9. Logan Thompson just under 800,000.
I would love Logan Thompson as Jake Oettinger's backup. Honestly. I would love it.
Amazing.
That would be, to me,
yeah.
That's a July conversation, but I
would
love but that to me is if clearly he has been discarding. Thompson is Sean Burke, the goalie coach in Vegas, and Bruce Cassidy, the head coach in Vegas, and they clearly don't see Logan Thompson as the answer there. And he gave Aiden Hill 2 times $5 million from the GM.
Yep.
So I would love Logan Thompson as Oettinger's backup in Dallas. To me, that would be a wonderful July move to talk about at some point.
Yeah. And you know what? We'll talk about this like as July comes, as we go around the NHL. But I did want to point out one of the interesting aspects, and probably one of the reasons that several players on Vegas were, disappointed after the year. Obviously, you just get knocked out, but this Vegas team is going to look a little different, Sean.
Yeah.
With Marcia Show coming up as an unrestricted free agent, Stevenson is a free agent, Alex Martinez is a free agent. They just have a lot of free agents, and we all know that they like to turn over the roster, and so it's going to be interesting.
And they have Hannafin's about to be on the books for $7.3 million next year. Right?
Absolutely.
That's a big one. Like you're going to have to start to figure that out. I mean, there's a lot of every single summer with Vegas, there is turnover.
Yeah.
There's going to be definitely, like, they're $8 million over the cap right now. They're going to have to find ways to make that work. So
yeah. Let's see. Flo Wee was with you, sir. He says, I think this was Heiskanen and Harley's best game of the series.
They were really good. They were really good.
Absolutely. Drew Butler says it's time to admit Wyatt Johnston is the best player on this team. I think that's fair to put him among the best.
He played the best. I would still argue Miro Heiskanen is the best player on the team.
Yeah.
That's But
Belfour's Billions Bribe says, is Radek Foxa still overpaid? You know what? I'll probably dream of Radek Foxa tonight, boys and girls. Listen, I have no problem, chewing that crow tonight. Let's see. Rudy. Rudy's an awesome Stars fan, just getting into it. I love people like Rudy, and he's asking all kinds of questions and tweeting out now. So glad that he got to see a Game 7 win. Awesome night for the good guys tonight. No, it's only the first round. We have enough series ahead, but man, this series felt like more of a first round matchup. Let's keep it up, boys. Oh, more than a first round matchup. Yeah, we agree. We absolutely agree. Yeah.
Looking for a job is lonely. Endless searching, phone calls that go nowhere, applications that vanish into thin air. What if you could link with dozens of local companies who are hiring right now with just one connection? That's Express Employment Professionals. Find us at expresspros.com. One connection, endless opportunities, and no fees ever for job seekers. Express Employment Professionals. expresspros.com.
This is it. We've got an Amex Platinum Pro on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't seen anyone relax like this before in the Centurion Lounge. Is he connecting to complimentary Wi-Fi? Oh, my! Look at that! He is! And you will not believe where he's going next. The Amex dedicated card member entrance for the win! Unbelievable!
When you get travel perks with Amex Platinum, you're part of the action. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
Yeah. So those are the questions, sir. And thank you, one and all. And there were several that had the same question, so I just didn't want to, double up too much. But clearly the sixth defenseman, and I will say this, we've talked a lot about it, but I'm glad Stars fans noticed that, because that means they're really dialed into, as far as how this team is made up.
Yeah. No, it's this was a hell of a series, right? This was either team who would have. It's also like there's also like the funny like butterfly flaps its wings in China and who knows what happens all over the world type deal, right? Like the butterfly effect of things. And if you're Vegas, how much are you kicking yourself about losing game 82 to the Ducks the way you did? Just like seriously, like you look back, right? Like you lose game 82 to the Ducks. It puts you in a spot where you have to play Dallas. And in doing so, I know the Kings lost to the Oilers, but you're telling me that, I believe Dallas is a better team than Edmonton. So like it is an example of you talk about every game mattering, and I don't think we can apply it to every single one. That's not always fair. But this year, like, if Vegas does the job against a bad Anaheim team in Game 82, both these teams are probably in the second round right now.
Yeah,
like
I agree, and not to mention they knew what was on the line. That's what's so interesting. And I mean, you and I both were keeping eyes on that game. They really didn't play well at all against Anaheim. So which is interesting. I was looking at an article tonight about how Anaheim deserves to get the first pick of the draft based on whiffing.
I mean, it would be a fun team. Like if Anaheim if Anaheim got Celebrini, it would be a really fun team.
Yeah.
And that is I believe that will lead into the broadcast on Tuesday night, because I believe the draft lottery is Tuesday night.
No Chicago.
Yeah. It's just I mean, it's one of the fun things right now is if you go to Tankathon and you just like simulate because you can simulate the lottery. If I hit the button right now, let's see if I hit it right now. Oh geez, come on. I hate this because I ran it twice and Chicago won twice. Here's one. Anaheim just won. Okay. This is one where Anaheim, just ran Tankathon where Anaheim, San Jose, Minnesota, Chicago.
Yeah. Totally okay with San Jose because I want Mike Grier to succeed. I like Mike Grier.
And old Stars PR guru Tom Holy, assistant GM over with the Sharks. So it would be good to see that happen. So
yeah. Well, you're busy, my friend, but you want to find time for a Colorado preview. You know what? I'm game.
We will figure it out. We will get it done. It'll either be tomorrow or Tuesday. We will we'll figure all of that out. The key here, one of the wonderful things that our pal 100 Degree Hockey mentioned, Stephen brought up, is one of the great things is there's a Tuesday. I know I'm seeing a lot of people reacting on Twitter to the fact that this series starts Tuesday. And now one of the main reasons this series starts Tuesday is because there's a concert in the AAC on Wednesday night. So that's why, like, they can't start this series on Wednesday. That's why Edmonton and Vancouver start on Wednesday. But Steven pointed out how if you're a hockey fan in the state of Texas, you had tonight, tomorrow you recover. Tuesday night, you get to watch Dallas and Colorado. Wednesday night, you get to watch Texas and Milwaukee. Texas might close out Milwaukee, potentially. And if they don't, they happen to play on Friday. So you could just have, and then we know if Texas closes out Milwaukee on Wednesday and goes and wins that series 3-0, they'll get Grand Rapids the following week. So it's a really good time to be a hockey fan in the state of Texas. Enjoy it. Everything's rolling along. And, we get to do at least 4 more of these, Gavin. At least 4 more. That's what tonight means. So it's
a beautiful thing, and we will talk about Colorado more. But I am already thinking, who does it benefit? The team that has been playing constantly, or the team that's rested? Yeah, always fascinating going into Game 1 to see that.
Classic rust versus rest, and and we will bring this up and we will talk more about it either tomorrow or Tuesday when we figure out our personal schedules. But I'm fascinated to see, I think I think about the goaltending perspective on a lot of things, but I think I love the fact that Jake Oettinger just gets to keep rolling with this. I actually, from that perspective, I think there's some things where, I think there's no break in the rhythm, and you got a guy playing the way he has. I'm glad that his routine continues where it's nothing changes. Just keep going, keep going. So
some great storylines to discuss. Little things like Matt Duchene, former Colorado Avalanche, just a lot of things.
The other thing we should do real quick before we say, just because he didn't get talked about at all this series, and it's kind of a shame, but so Misha Donskov is an assistant coach for Dallas. Okay. Misha was an assistant coach for Vegas last year. And basically had his contract expire, and Vegas decided not to bring him back. So I don't know if anyone is given as big of a fist pump
Wow.
driving home tonight from the rink than Misha Donskov, who was like, and I know Pete typically doesn't have his assistants talk that much and everything like that, but I would love for somebody from the Stars media contingent. So whether it's anyone who's listening out there right now to this, I would love for someone to ask Pete about Misha's impact, because obviously Pete knows Vegas. Pete knows Vegas very well, but Misha lifted the Stanley Cup with Vegas last year, and he was on the other side of it and knocked him out this year. So
was he a Cassidy guy that came in, or was he a Pete DeBoer holdover?
So he was. Let me give you the exact answer on this. So Misha Donskov was the.
It was a fascinating nugget.
So he had been with Vegas since 2016.
Wow.
He was.
So that's why DeBoer grabbed him quick.
So he had been a direct. But he had never been a coach until Pete was there. So he was a. He was a coach with in the bubble. Basically, he was hired there as a director of hockey operations. Was a director of hockey operations. Worked in everything there. Then right before the bubble, he was basically named an assistant coach right before the playoff bubble, when all the teams went into the bubble, and then was an assistant coach for 3 years, including 2 years with DeBoer, and then basically his contract, from my understanding of it, his contract expired after they won the cup, and when contract expired and he wasn't brought back, that means to me that Bruce Cassidy felt he could bring in someone he preferred there. So Pete DeBoer snapped him up pretty quickly. So that's someone who I think today is who should be, I'm sure is enjoying this today. Really fascinating guy who. So I would if anyone who's going to be at Stars Media Availability tomorrow wants to ask Pete about Misha Donskov's impact, that would be, and I will text some people as well. But that is that is worth bringing up. So
no, that is great. Yeah, I will as well. All of a sudden, there's going to be like 5 questions on Misha Donskov.
Yep. We are the tastemakers, Gavin. I believe that's the phrase here, right? Like, we're the tastemakers of Stars coverage. Is that what we're calling ourselves now? So.
Oh my goodness. The well-known term will be effing Spitzen Suds over in Frisco.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is this damn podcast?
Yes.
All right, guys, here's my pitch. You got to subscribe. Shap Shots, he's amazing. Amazing analytics coming, as well as recaps, and he brings in nuggets like we just heard, as well as, other game nuggets. And you're going to get a lot of that with Colorado. And you could also read his stuff at EP Ringside, at D Magazine, at Sean Shapiro on Twitter, the movie he's in called The Lake Game Movie. How did you do on Saturday in Toronto in your second game of the celebrity game, which benefited an amazing charity?
So we lost, but I made the save of the tournament.
Ooh.
I made the save of the tournament on a penalty shot, so that was cool. We lost 3-0 in that game, but probably should have lost like 8-0. We actually played against a team that had Zach Rinaldo on it, and
Ooh.
now we all made the joke in the locker room, keep your head up, of course. But Zach Rinaldo is still 33 and still tries quite a bit. So
wow.
So we lost 3-0. We lost 3-0 in that game. Probably should have lost 8-0, but I played pretty well. And
well, congratulations on the save. Clearly, they did not have enough analytical data to see where to shoot on you.
Correct.
They did not go high blocker side, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, congrats on that big save, and congrats on all that you do. Once again, subscribe to Shap Shots and follow Sean wherever you can, and give him a support because he's so nice to lend his time to Spits and Suds. So we'll give you a Colorado preview coming up. Super excited about that. Congratulations, Stars fans. You move on. You deserve this. Can't wait to drink more Frosties with you. This has been Spits and Suds. We will talk to you soon. Have a great celebration day, everyone.